Are you ready for lambing? I think I am. So let's take a peek at what's in my lambing kit. Alright, so first of all, I've got my shepherd's crook here. I just got this really spanky one from Premier One that has the foot lock on it, which is so super duper handy. Now, I don't foresee needing to use this for my early use because I will probably be lambing them out through the jugs, so they'll be easy to catch. But for the later ones that are going to be lambing out on pasture, that is going to be very handy. All right, so next up, any of my friends that had horses might recognize this. That is a grooming tote from when I was a kid that I have cleaned up and repurposed as a lambing kit. So let's unpack it and see what I've got in here. So first up, I have my Scrapey's approved tags. And of course, the ear tagger, the applicator, whatever you want to call it, because I want to be able to tag my lambs. I have some antiseptic lube, which is just nice to apply to the ear, just lowers the risk of infection, which is always good. And next I have an elastrator and bands, and these are for doing nuts and tails, so castrating the males and then also docking tails. Next up is iodine, and that is just for dipping their navels. You can also have a pair of scissors in your kit if you want to trim their umbilical cord up. Okay, next up is this handy little lamb sling. So their front legs just go through right there, and then you attach it to the scale, and then you can get a weight on them. It's just a great way to be able to keep records. Okay, and next up is my scale. It's dusty and dirty in the barn, so I keep it in the box, or try to. It doesn't always live there when things get busy. All right, so then the next couple things is this bucket, which has not been cleaned up. This is some stuff from my mother-in-law. So Jace's mom actually used to raise about 200 head of sheep, and she would paint brand the lambs, and she gave me her old stuff. So you can see, you just dip the number you need in the paint and then dip it on your lamb. You usually do the use number so you can easily pair them up. I'm not sure yet if I'll do that. Spray paint is a really nice alternative. I didn't buy that. It did give these little crayon markers though, so I might give those a try. I'm not sure how well they'll work on the lambs though. Next up, I have an OB sleeve, and I already showed you my lube and antiseptic. That's just, in case you need to go in and assist with a birth or untangle lambs or anything like that. You can put on a sleeve and lube up. And just a tip, if you live in a cold climate where it gets below freezing, do not leave your lube in the barn. It'll ruin it. Keep it inside and just remember to bring it out with you when you need it. Next up, I have a towel, and that's just one. I have a little cupboard in here stocked with more real towels like this and also paper towels for cleaning up afterwards. I have my just in case, and that's a tube in case I have a weak lamb that needs to be tube fed, colostrum. I also have a thermometer, which is a really good thing to check. Lambs have pretty high temperatures, so you just want to check that and see where they're at if you have one not doing well. Next up, I have this little piece of rubber that is used for pulling a lamb if you can't get a good enough grip with your hands. It's just kind of a handy thing to have. These are things that you hope you don't have to use, but they're good just in case. This isn't related to the lambs, but for your ewe. So if you have a ewe prolapse, these are called a prolapse spoon. Now, if she hasn't been shorn, you can actually just tie this right to her wool. But because we shear ours before lambing, there's nothing to tie to. So I bought this handy little harness. Let's hope though that I don't have to use that. And then lastly, I keep needles and syringes on hand just in case I need to give somebody a shot. If I have a lamb that's not doing well and it needs an intraperitoneal shot to give it some energy, or if the ewe ends up needing antibiotics or something like that. Now, I don't keep a lot of drugs on hand just because we have a small flock and that kind of stuff doesn't come up very often. Now, I like to be prepared. I'm not saying don't be prepared, but don't just run out and buy all these drugs and medicine, because more than likely you're not going to need to use them and you're just going to end up wasting your money because they're just going to go bad. I know that happens with us, even with our cows. We keep a few common things on hand, but for us, we actually only live about 7 miles away from a vet clinic. So if we need something, it's pretty handy. We can run in and get it. I know that's not the case for everyone, but just something to think about. All right, so something that I did not show in my kit is my records sheet. Right now it's still just on my computer. I haven't printed it off yet. We are officially supposed to start lambing, but I've been keeping a close eye on the girls and I think we're still a few days at least away yet. But I will get that printed off and get it out here so I have it handy when I need it. Another very important thing to have on hand is colostrum. Frozen colostrum. I always keep some on hand in case of emergencies, not only with my own animals, but for other people as well. And obviously it's not out here because it's in the freezer. They also make powdered colostrum, which is a good thing, a good option if you don't have any frozen colostrum. And the last thing that's not out here are my lamb bottles and my lamb nipples. I like to keep those in the house because obviously my colostrum is in the house in the freezer. So if it comes down to needing those, I'm gonna have to go to the house anyway to heat the colostrum up and then put it in the bottle. So it just makes more sense for me to store them in there than out here. All right, I hope that was helpful for you to see what was in my lambing kit. I'd love to hear what is in yours, what I'm missing, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Happy lambing.